Hi, my name's Sarah DeBorre. This is Jess, who's going to keep us company, I think, for a little bit today. We are going to be practicing a Vinyasa flow, and we're going to be focusing on opening up through our hips, through our shoulders, and also doing some gentle back bend. So we're really going to be opening up that full front body through this flow today. I'm going to get you to start in Supta Baddha Konasana. So when you're ready, rolling out your mat and coming down on your back in a supine position and bringing the soles of the feet to touch. The knees can drop out wide. So if that position does not feel good on your body and it's a bit too early maybe to have that kind of hip opener, then just extend your legs out straight in front of you in Shavasana. Alternatively, if you have a couple of pillows at home or yoga blocks or even a couple of bigger books, you can use those to put on either side of your thighs as some gentle support. So coming down onto the mat when you're ready. And again, soles of the feet to touch, the knees drop out wide in our Supta Baddha Konasana. I think Jess is having a little roll around behind me. You okay back there, Jessie dog? Okay. Sinking down into the mat. And maybe taking the hands to rest on the body, somewhere that just feels natural for you today. That could be on your belly, maybe one on your belly and one on your chest, or even your hands to your frontal hip points. And taking just a couple of moments here to really drop in and release any tension through the body. So we're really sinking into that mat and just grounding before we get started with today's practice. We'll take a few deep breaths together and we will breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And when we exhale, I want you to make an audible sigh. We're going to breathe all the way into our belly and exhale through the mouth. So breathing in, deep breath in, the belly swells. And opening the mouth, sighing it out. Again, deep breath in through the nose. Once again, deep breath in through the nose. And sighing it out through the mouth. Returning back to a steady breath in and out of the nose. And we'll just come through a few rounds of Samavriti breaths, so an even inhalation to exhalation. We'll be working with a 4 count, but please feel free to extend that out to 5 or 6, or even maybe taking it back to 3, depending on what is going to suit your body today. So let's exhale now. And breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. 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 And releasing the count, but trying to maintain that steady breath in and out of the body, and also trying to maintain that breath throughout today's practice. Taking the hands to the outer thighs, let's draw those knees into the chest and give them a little cuddle. So hands wrap around the front of the shins, drawing those knees into the chest. Maybe taking a little gentle rock from side to massage out through the lower back. And then coming into stillness, keeping your hands on either shin, we're going to draw some circles in the air with our knees. So maybe actually taking the hands to the top of the kneecaps might make this a little bit easier. And we're going to butterfly the knees out to the sides and then draw them back in and around. So let's do that again, drawing the knees out, in and around. So this really circular motion through the hip joint, which is a ball and socket joint, is really good to start to awaken through our hips. And we're just going in one direction here. And then swapping and taking it in the opposite direction. You can really get your shoulders into this motion so that you are somewhat like massaging through the shoulders onto the mat. And coming into stillness, let's take the soles of the feet to the mat, so releasing any clasp with the hands. And we're going to take our right leg and extend it all the way up to the ceiling or towards the sky, flexing the right toes towards the shin and interlacing the hands either behind the back of the thigh or the calf or the ankle, whatever is in your reach, but keeping the head and shoulders on the mat. You might like to extend the left leg long in front. That's going to open up a little bit more through the front of the left hip. And just taking a few breaths here, feeling that nice opening up through the back of the right leg. If you've extended the left leg long, then bring the sole of the foot back to the mat. We're going to cross the right leg and place the ankle on top of that left knee, threading the hands in between that gap and maybe taking clasp with the back of the thigh or the front of the knee, bringing the head and shoulders back to the mat. So taking our reclined figure four here. And really working to draw the left knee in, while pushing that right thigh out. So it's this push-pull motion here. It's an active stretch. And right toes are flexed. We'll release the right leg now, so keep hold of the left knee, but the right leg extends long to the mat. And let's hug that left knee into the chest. Left arm extends out to a T or a cactus, and the right hand is going to draw that left knee over towards the right. So coming into that nice supine twist, keeping the left shoulder plugging into the mat. You might like to take your gaze over your left shoulder, so long as that's okay on your neck. And coming back up through center, taking the soles of the feet to the mat and just realigning your hips into the center. Let's extend the left leg long all the way up to the ceiling and taking clasp with the back of the leg wherever it feels comfortable for you, but remembering we want to keep our head and shoulders on the mat. Flexing the left toes towards the shin and maybe extending that right leg long on the mat, so long as that feels comfortable for your body. And taking a few breaths here to start to awaken our hamstrings. And remember, you can have a gentle bend in that left knee if that makes it more comfortable for you. And bringing the right sole of the foot back to the mat if it's not already there. Let's cross that left knee so the left ankle comes to rest on top of the right knee, and threading the hands through to grab behind the back of the right knee or the right shin, and then coming back down to the mat. Flexing the left toes, so toes are active. And drawing that right knee into the chest while we push that left thigh out and down. Releasing the left leg long to the mat, keeping the right knee hugged in. We're going to take the right arm out to a T or a cactus, and using the left hand to draw that right knee now over to the left side. Right shoulder stays grounding into the mat, and you might like to take that gaze over the right shoulder. And legs come back up through center, taking the soles of the feet back to the mat. We're just going to cross over the legs and take clasp at the back of the thighs, and we're going to simply roll over into our tabletop position. So coming up and over onto your all fours, hands are underneath our shoulders, knees are in line with our hips. We'll come through a few rounds of cat-cow. So getting started whenever you're ready, breath in dips the belly, and the exhale curbs through that spine to tuck everything under. Inhale dips the belly, gaze comes up, and exhale tucking everything under. Doing 3 more rounds in your own time. And when you finish that final round, just settling into a neutral spine. Our right arm will extend in front, left leg shoots back, left toes once again active, flexing towards that shin. Belly draws in and up. And we'll all take an inhale breath together, and exhale, elbow comes to knee. Inhale to extend, and exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale to extend, and exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend, and maybe you stay here, or you can start bending through that left knee and take the right arm up and over to take clasp of that foot. If you get hold of that foot, then I want you to really kick that foot into the hand, and we push through that left hand so that we really open up through the front of that hip, that left hip. Sorry, the flies have already come out today. It was nice and overcast when I started, and as soon as the sun comes out, those flies tend to come out. So really kicking that foot into the hand and releasing without slingshotting. Arm comes out, and then hand and knee back down to the mat. We'll switch over to the other side. So left arm extends, right leg behind, flexing those right toes towards the shin. Right glute is active, belly draws in and up. And exhale, elbow comes to knee. Inhale to extend, and exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend, and exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale to extend, and either waiting here, or we bend through that right knee and take the left hand behind to grab those toes. If we've got the foot, then we're kicking that foot into our hand, really pushing down through that right hand to open up the body. And releasing without slingshotting. Left hand, right knee comes back to the mat. And we're going to simply just tuck our toes and push up into our down dog. You might need to extend that stance. Fingers are spreading nice and wide. And all of your fingertips are pressing down into that mat. Armpits wrap in to face each other. And settling into stillness. Breath in, coming high onto the tippy toes. And exhale to sink the heels back to the mat. Let's do that again. Inhale, tippy toes. And exhale to sink the heels. Once more. And now let's walk the hands to the back of the mat. Coming into our forward fold. Before we do, let's inhale, hands to shins, half lift. And exhale to fold. We'll take an interlace of the hands behind the back, so interlacing the fingers together, making that little fist, maybe taking a gentle bend in the knees, and let's draw those hands up and over the body, releasing any tension in the neck and shoulders. It sounds like Jess has taken herself off to the dam for a little swim. And releasing the bind, hands come back to the mat. Inhale, half lift, and exhale to fold. Let's ripple up to standing. Arms reach up and overhead. And exhale, hands through heart center. We're going to keep our feet hip distance apart, really engage the glutes and the belly. And arms are going to reach up and overhead. Let's interlace the thumbs, so we're pulling through those thumbs to keep the fingers locked together. Remembering to keep that belly drawn in. And on the exhale, let's lean to the right. Inhale back up through center and exhale to the left. Inhale back up through center and once more on either side. So coming over to the right, back through center and to the left. And folding straight down to the mat, hinging at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale to fold. Walking ourselves all the way out to our high plank. Belly draws in, glutes are engaged. Taking 2 more breaths here. And lowering all the way to the mat, knees on or off. Hands come back in line with the lower ribs, plugging the toenails into the mat. Breath in, baby cobra. And exhale to release. Inhale, baby cobra. And exhale to release. Making sure we're engaging those shoulder blades, elbows draw in. Breath in, baby cobra. Maybe hovering the hands off of the mat, holding for a breath, and releasing down to the mat. Tucking back to our child's pose. Big toes touch, knees come out wide. And remembering that child's pose is available to you at any point in the class. Let's tuck the toes and come straight back up to our downward facing dog. And we're going to take a slow stroll all the way to the top of the mat. And breath in, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale, arms reach up and overhead, maybe taking a gentle back bend. And exhale, hinging at the hips, coming all the way back down to the mat. Inhale, half lift, and exhale to step back to our high plank. Knees on or off the mat. Let's lower chaturanga all the way down till we reach our belly. Untucking the toes, hands come beside us. Breath in, head, arms, shoulders lift off of the mat. And exhale to release. Inhale, head, shoulders, hands are all off of the mat. And release. This time we're going to lift our feet, so coming up off of the mat, head and shoulders, hands and feet all off of the mat. Staying here for another breath. And release. Pushing back to down dog, either through child's pose or up through plank. And either taking a stroll to the top of the mat or maybe stepping to the top of the mat. Once we're there, inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale, arms reach all the way up and overhead. And exhale, hands through heart center. We'll come through one traditional round, I guess, of our sun salutation A. So breath in, arms reach up. And exhale, hinge at the hips, folding all the way down to the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, either jumping straight back to chaturanga or through high plank. Inhale, up dog or baby cobra. And exhale back to down dog. Breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Breath in, right leg lifts. Let's exhale, peel open the hip. Jess, you're being a very good girl because I'm looking at a kangaroo directly through my legs right now. If only you could see it on camera. He's just hanging out up there eating. Really making sure that we open up that hip. Go away, flies. Oh, it's full Australiana today. Flies, kangaroos. And exhale, right knee taps right elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. Right knee to chest, and let's step that foot between our front hands, lowering the back knee as we come up for our low lunge. Immediately let's take our arms behind, and we're going to take that interlace of the hands once again, making that little fist, making sure our left glute is engaged and the right heel is pushing into the mat and drawing that mat in. On the inhale, let's open up that chest. And if this is a bit too much on you for your balance, you can tuck the back toes for some extra support. And making sure that we're not tipping the head all the way back here. So the neck is neutral. If you haven't tucked the back toes already, then do that now. We're going to straighten through the front leg. As we come into our half Hanuman, you might need to readjust that footing. And so keeping that bind if you can. Alternatively, you can bring the hands to the mat and really flexing those right toes towards our shin. Oh, creaks from me. On the next inhale, bending back through that knee, coming back to our low lunge, keeping those back toes tucked if they're not already. And we're going to push up into our arrowhead. So keep the bind if you've got it. Chest tips forward. One more breath. And exhale to straighten through the front leg into our pyramid variation, releasing the bind if you've got that. Hands come to the floor or to your blocks. And we're really working to draw the right hip back, bring the left hip forward. One more breath here. Jess, leave that kangaroo alone. I think Jess has just spotted it. And on the exhale, bending back through that right knee. We're going to take both of our hands to the inside of that right foot and just heel toe that foot across. So we're coming into our high lizard lunge and maybe just rocking backwards and forwards, just again to open up more through that hip. Taking any movement that feels nice here. And then we're going to walk our hands through to the middle of the mat, coming into our wide-legged forward fold. So you might need to readjust your feet. Pigeon-toed just ever so slightly, so heels are out, toes are in. Let's inhale, halfway lift, and exhale to fold. So our fingertips are roughly in line with our big toes. And inhale, halfway lift, and exhale to fold. Making sure that we take some weight more into the toes, more into the balls of the feet. So we come just a little forward. And inhale, halfway lift, bringing those hands to the hips. Let's bend the knees and gently come up to standing. Hands come up to heart center. Let's take that right heel to face in, or the left heel should I say, and the left knee bends. We're going to come to Skandasana now at the back of the mat. So coming onto the right heel, bending through that left knee. Hands can be at heart center or they can come to the mat for support. And the right leg is engaged, so we're really engaging that quad to draw the kneecap up. Jess, I'm sorry to be disciplining Jess on camera, but the little tiny kangaroo that is just hanging out up there, I would much rather it's able to just chill out. Taking the hands to the mat, let's walk ourselves all the way forward into our simple twist. Left hand down, right arm to the sky, back leg is strong. And coming to the blade edge of the left foot, we're going to try and step back with one step to our high plank. Ooh. I managed to do it, but these flies are really bad today. I'm sorry for all of my fly swatting if you're watching me. Right leg comes up into the air as we step it back into our wild thing. Engaging the glutes to really push those hips up. Right hand comes to the mat, as do the right toes, and we take a flow. A lower chaturanga, up dog or baby cobra, and exhale back to our down dog. Breath in, left leg lifts, and exhale, peel open the hip, taking the heel towards our butt. Making sure we're not dumping weight into the right shoulder. And on the exhale, left knee taps left elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. And left knee to chest to step that foot through, dropping the back knee for our low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Engaging the right glute, the left heel plugs into the mat and we draw that mat in, taking the bind of the hands behind the back as we puff open that chest and take the fist back and down. Maybe tucking the back toes for some extra support. And on the exhale, straightening through that front leg, coming into our half Hanuman, keeping the bind if you've got it, and flexing those left toes towards that left shin. Bending back through that left knee, back to our low lunge, keeping the bind if you can. Keeping the back toes tucked, we're going to simply push up into our arrowhead, but with the bind of the hands. Back leg is strong. And now releasing the bind of the hands, bringing them back down to the mat. We're going to straighten through the front leg and come into our pyramid. So high on the balls of the back foot. If this isn't working for you though, you can bring that foot to the mat in our traditional pyramid. Left hip pulls back, right hip comes forward. Our kangaroo has departed. And bending back through that left knee, both hands come to the inside of the left foot, heel toe that just across to make space in our high lizard, and taking any movement that feels good here through the hips, maybe a forward and back motion or a roll through that left hip. And now we're going to walk our hands around to the right, coming up for our wide-legged forward fold. So big toes face inwards, heels are out. And inhale, halfway lift for length. Exhale to fold a little deeper. Maybe this time taking hold of the back of the ankles or the big toes to draw yourself in a little bit deeper. And if you've got that hold of the ankles or toes, then making sure that we're taking the elbows out to the side. Breath in, halfway lift. Bringing the hands to the hips, bending the knees and coming up all the way to standing. We're going to bend through the right knee, bringing that right heel in, and we come to the heel of the left foot, Skandasana, to the back of the mat. Really engaging that left leg. Mula Bandha is on, hands at heart center or fingertips to the mat for support. Or you can brush away the flies like I am. And hands come to the mat as we walk ourselves all the way to the top. Right hand plants, left arm extends to the sky, simple twist. Back leg is active. Gaze can come up to those left fingertips. And from here, we're stepping back into our side plank. So coming to the knife edge blade of the right foot. It might take you a few steps, or you can try it in one. Really lifting up through those hips. Here just for a moment. So let's lift that left leg up and step it back into our wild thing. Right hand comes back, or actually right hand is already on the mat. Left hand comes back to the mat, back to our high plank for a Vinyasa flow. Exhale, lower chaturanga. Inhale to up dog, and exhale back to our down dog. And breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Breath in, right leg lifts. And exhale, right knee taps right elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. Right knee to left elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. And right knee to chest, stepping that foot between our hands, rising up for our high crescent lunge. Let's engage that left glute. And we're really doing that scissoring action of the legs here for our stability. Lower belly draws in and taking a bind of the hands behind the back. Let's roll those shoulders back. And coming forward now into our arrowhead, the back leg straightens as the chest tips forward. Releasing the bind to open up to our warrior two, back foot anchors. Maybe checking that stance of the feet to make sure you've got that roughly heel to heel alignment. Right knee isn't caving in. And feeling that nice opening up through the hips. Straightening through the front leg, right arm reaches overhead, reverse triangle. Shifting that weight in the body back. And settling back to our warrior two. Coming into our side angle. So right arm can either rest on the top of the thigh or fingertips can come inside that right foot. Our left arm sweeps up and overhead, but immediately we take it into the half bind. So left fingertips look for the right hip. And we're really working to open that chest up. So that left shoulder draws back. With the bind, we're going to come up to our reverse warrior. And inhale, right fingertips back to the floor or to the leg. One more breath here. And let's do that again. Inhale, right fingertips up and overhead, exalting our warrior. And back into our side angle. Once more, fingertips up for the sky. We're really working that right leg. And back to the floor, just for a moment, maybe keeping the half bind with the left hand, or you can take the left hand to the sacrum. As we shift our weight forward into the right foot, fingertips come forward and we come into our half moon. So really engaging that left leg and left glute for stability, maybe taking a gentle bend in that front knee. You can bring your hands to your hip, your left hand, or extend it up. And maybe hovering those right fingertips off of the floor or the mat for a moment. You can either stay here, or if you want to try bringing this into dances, we're going to first take hold of the left foot with the left hand. So coming into Chapasana. So grabbing that foot, and if you've got that foot, really kicking that foot into the left hand. Now, to bring it into dances, I really recommend taking a bend in that right knee. That's going to give you a bit more stability. And then we slowly bring the right hand up off of the floor as we kick into the left hand. Wobbles are totally normal. You might need to readjust your grip on the foot so that the thumb is over towards the little pinky toe. And then kicking into that foot, bringing the left hip point facing down at the front. And if you've come up to dances, we're going to slowly take it back down to our Chapasana, back down to the mat, releasing the foot into our half moon without slingshotting it, and slowly stepping back with control to our warrior two. Well done. Immediately, let's take the weight out of that foot, reverse triangle. Hands come to heart center, Skandasana at the back of the mat, bending through the left knee. High on well, not high, we're on the ball of the right foot. The toes are up high. And maybe using the hands to walk yourself to the top of the mat, or just coming across with the strength of your legs into our simple twist. Left hand plants, right arm to the sky. And once again, we're getting ready for our wild thing. So maybe coming through our side plank like we did earlier, or you can try stepping that right foot all the way over in one movement into our wild thing. Oop, that was a bit wobbly for me. But it always pays to try. Right hand comes to the mat, three-legged dog, right leg to the sky, and taking maybe a one-legged flow, or bringing the foot down to the mat. Hi, Jess. Exhale back to down dog. Actually, feeling all your little water driplets is quite nice because it's hot. Inhale, left leg lifts. And exhale, left knee taps left elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. Left knee, right elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. And left knee to chest, stepping that foot between our hands, rising up to our high crescent lunge. Right glute is engaged. Gentle tuck of the tailbone. Belly draws in, and taking that bind of the hands behind the back, maybe putting the opposite thumb on top, so the awkward bind of the hands. Whew. Jess, can you make all these flies go away? If you've got that bind, then drawing those hands down. Shoulder blades are drawing together. It's straightening through the back leg, tipping our chest forward, arrowhead variation. And releasing the bind. Arms windmill up and open. Back foot anchors, warrior two. Making sure that our alignment is just right. And settling into our warrior two for a few breaths. I've just got a gentle breeze on my face and it feels magnificent. Gaze is down, the middle finger on the front hand. Or in my case, it's directly on Jess, who's sitting in front of me. And straightening through the front leg, left arm reaches up and overhead, reverse triangle. Back to our warrior two. Just for a moment here before we get ready for our side angle. So left forearm can rest on the top of the thigh, or fingertips come to the inside of the left foot. Either way, we're not dumping weight into the ground or into our leg. Right arm sweeps up and overhead, but immediately comes into that bind. So the right fingertips are looking for the hip crease on the left. Legs are strong. Gaze can be at the mat or the ceiling, and really working to open up that right shoulder so that we're opening up through the chest. If your hand is on your leg, then we're going to extend that long in front of us. But alternatively, if your fingers are on the mat, they can just stay there. We're going to open up to exalt our warrior. Left knee stays bent. And exhale, back fingertips either to the mat or extended in front of us. Inhale, exalted warrior. And back down to the mat. Once more, inhale. And exhale, fingertips to the mat or knee. If they're on the knee, then taking the hand in front, right hand can come to the sacrum or stay in the bind. We're shifting our weight forward, maybe even taking that foot at the back a little bit more forward, and we're coming into our half moon. Right leg lifts, and immediately you're engaging that right leg, so the right toes are flexing, right glute is on. Right hand can extend up to the sky or stay on your hip. maybe hovering those left fingertips for a moment. And either staying here, it's quite a long hold in half moon, or we're working towards dancers. And don't worry about how wobbly you are. That's perfectly fine. I've been wobbling all over the place. So bending through that right knee and taking clasp with that foot. So maybe taking a bend already in that left knee to help you get there. So if you've got hold of that foot in our Chapasana, we're really kicking that foot into the right hand. And we're slowly bringing the left fingertips off of the mat as we turn our hip inwards and then rearrange those hands to come into our dancers. So the right thumb is just pushing into that little pad below the little pinky toe. Bending through that left knee is going to help with your stability. We kick into our hand with our right foot. Just bringing that hip down a little bit. I know that left leg is probably fatiguing. So let's come back to our Chapasana. Left fingertips search for the mat. We don't slingshot that foot, so releasing it back to our half moon and with control, stepping back to warrior two, immediately straightening that leg. Reverse triangle. I don't know about you, but I'm sweating. I can feel the sweat running down my face. Whew. Hands come to heart center, bending the right knee, Skandasana to the back of the mat. Mula Bandha is on. Hands can come to the mat for support. Left toes are flexing. And either using our fingertips to walk ourselves forward or the strength of our legs to come into our simple twist. Right hand plants, left hand to the sky, back leg is engaged. And maybe coming through side plank or trying to come into our wild thing immediately from our simple twist. The choice is yours, but I do recommend coming to the knife edge blade of the right foot first. Ooh, I think I've got it this time. Maybe a few wobbles. And left toes to the ground. Engage those glutes to open up the hips. And left hand down, left leg to the sky, three-legged dog, and taking the flow of your choice. Once we're in down dog, let's drop our knees to the mat and come down to child's pose, just to take a few moments to recenter. And also let that heart rate come down. Let's come up to a seat on our knees. So butt sits back onto our heels. We're going to come through one round of camel since we're nice and open through those shoulders, and we've done a few back bends today. So when you're ready, hands come to the back of the hips. Fingertips can point down or up, whatever is more comfortable for your body. Shoulders are drawing back and elbows together. And let's come up to our knees. For this one, let's tuck our toes so that we've got a little bit more stability. Belly draws in. So we're really tight through the belly and the glutes. So once we've engaged the glutes and the belly, then we're slowly going to take our chest back. Or chest back, elbows back, chest forward. And if you've got the length, then right hand can come back and search for the right heel, and left hand. If you've got those heels and really pushing those hips forward, glutes are active. If it's comfortable on your neck, you can let the head drop, but only if it's comfortable. It's certainly not comfortable on my neck. I know this can be an intense pose, so just 2 more breaths, you can do it. And slowly coming up now before we sit our hips back and down, untucking the toes, just coming in to our seat for a moment, letting the spine rebound. Hands can rest on the legs. And hands come back to the mat. Let's push back to our down dog just for a moment before we either step through to a seat, or you can jump through, whatever is in your practice. We're going to set up for double pigeon. Alternatively, we can just take a simple cross. So for me, a simple cross is probably better. So if you're tight through the hips, double pigeon can be quite difficult. We're going to start left leg on the bottom. So come up towards the top of your mat. What we're aiming for is the left shin is going to be parallel to the top edge of the mat. We're really flexing the toes on both feet for this one. So the toes flex in, and we bring the right ankle on top of the left knee. And this shin is also parallel to that mat, the top edge of the mat. Both toes are flexing here. So as you can see, for me, my hips are so tight that my right leg is really up in the air. But if you're more open through the hips, you're probably going to find this a lot easier to do. So if you're like me and this is super uncomfortable, then you can just take an easy cross. So bring that foot down to the mat and keeping those shins relatively parallel again. Toes are still flexing. We're not bringing those ankles in really close towards our pubic area. We want to keep them a little bit further out. Wherever you are, let's inhale to straighten the spine and exhale, folding forward. And coming back up to seated. We're just going to switch legs. So this time, right leg is on the bottom, left leg on top. So if you're doing the double pigeon, then remembering that we're bringing the shins parallel to the top edge of the mat. Both toes are flexing in. And we sit up tall before we fold forward. Alternatively, you can just bring that left leg to the mat and do this through the simple cross of our legs. But again, still flexing those toes. Breath in to lift and coming forward. Coming back up to seated. We're just going to shift our hips back more into the middle of the mat. And I think we've still got a few minutes to spare to do a little bit of core work. I know that we Did a lot of work with that lower body, but let's activate this core a little bit more. So let's sit up nice and tall, and hands can come to the back of the legs. And we can bring those legs up off of the mat, so into our boat pose. Shins are parallel to the mat, really hugging those legs in, so pressing those legs in tight. And if you've got the clasp of the back of the legs, using that to roll the shoulders back and down, chest is proud, and maybe hovering the hands in front of us. Totally normal to have the shakes here. I do. Let's just shake through it, or maybe you're powering through it. Just a couple more breaths. And let's release to the mat. Well done, everybody. Let's hug the knees into the chest. Maybe taking that rock from side to side to massage out through the lower back, if that feels nice, or just staying still. Arms come out to a T, and then knees to like a tabletop. Let's just drop our legs over to the right into our simple twist. You might like to use the right hand to hold on to that left thigh, but left shoulder is staying plugging into the mat and you're not yanking yourself into the twist. Right hand comes back to the mat if it's not already there, and drawing the knees back up through center. You might need to take the soles of the feet to the mat to rearrange those hips, and legs then come over to the left. Left hand can rest on top of the right thigh, but making sure that we're drawing that right shoulder into the mat. And legs come back up through center, soles of the feet to the mat. And we'll just take a happy baby before we finish up. So either grabbing the back of the thighs, the ankles, or the outer blade edges of the feet. Shoulders plugging down into the mat. Tailbone is extending down to the mat. Maybe straightening out through one or both legs if that feels good. And then releasing your happy baby, coming down to the mat either for your shavasana, or you can come up for a seated meditation. However you wish to end your practice today, maybe grabbing some extra layers, getting comfortable for your shavasana. If you're in shavasana, making sure you take up some room so legs can spread out wide, toes fall out to the side, and you can really starfish your arms out if you've got the room at home. Palms face up. If you're taking the seated meditation, then making sure that those sit bones are plugging down either into the earth or into your heels if you're kneeling, and sitting that spine nice and long, gentle tuck of the chin to lengthen through the neck. starting to wiggle through the fingers and toes. Just a short shavasana. Stretching the arms up overhead. If you're really actually enjoying your shavasana, then by all means, please stay here and continue on for as long as you need. And rolling over to your right side, keeping those eyes shut if possible. And pushing up to our comfortable seat, either kneeling or cross-legged. Let's breathe in and bring our shoulders all the way up to our ears. And exhale to release. Once more, breath in, shrugging those shoulders up. And exhale to drop them down. Hands come to heart center, our Anjali Mudra. Maybe tipping the head forward. Taking just a few more moments here. Thank you for practicing with me. And have the most amazing day or night, depending on what you're planning or when you're doing this. Namaste. Oh, I ended up facing off to the side after I rolled up. Anyway, thank you so much for practicing with me today. My name's Sarah DeBorre. I think Jess has been off swimming in the dam while we were finishing off our practice. If you liked your yoga practice, then please think about subscribing to my channel, commenting, liking, all of the above, and maybe even sending me a message via the email address listed in the About section. If you've got any requests for peak poses or class ideas, then please email them through to me. I'd love to hear from you, and I will see you on the mat soon. Bye.